Is Doc Robin. I'm coming on special today to encourage you about your end of the month goals. You guys have all set really big goals for yourself, and you're on your way to accomplishing them. You're on your way to receiving them. But here's what happens is that, especially the first time you're going through the process of achieving a new goal, a big goal, an expansive goal, that one that you've never accomplished before. And the first time you go through the process of doing so, especially when you're reaching toward the end of the time that you've given yourself to achieve that goal, you really start to question whether or not it's going to happen or not. It's almost like, as I was thinking about it today, it's almost like that there's a membrane in between you and your goal. You can see it, you can feel it, you can know it's there, but there's something that's blocking you from it. And let me tell you a story about that. About 4.5 years ago, when I was first getting started in my full-time business as an entrepreneur, so it was in the spring of 2014, I had this really big goal for myself. I had an investment that I wanted to make in my business. It was a 6-month program. It was a $25,000 program. It involved a lot of international travel. It was a really incredible opportunity, and I wanted to be part of it. But it was a $25,000 buy-in, and even though I was doing fine financially, it was like, that's a big bolus of money to come up with. And I had to do so in a really short period of time. And so I went through my process. I went through everything that I knew to do in order to generate that money. I did my mindset work. I read in my wealth consciousness books. I reached out to the clients who I knew I was designed to serve. I was doing everything I knew to do. And still, nothing was coming in. It really did feel like there was a membrane sitting in between me and what that goal was, which was $25,000. And so I remember, I did everything that I knew to do. I was writing my mantras. I was happy and grateful for receiving this money. I was happy and grateful for being able to transform the clients that I was designed to serve. I was doing everything that I knew to do, and still nothing was working. No sales. It was quiet. It was like crickets. And I was working with my mentor at the time. I got on the phone with her. I had actually just left. I had driven over to get my dinner, and I grabbed a bottle of wine from the wine store, and my mentor called me as I was coming out of the wine store with this really nice bottle of Cabernet. And she called me, and I just sat on the curb of the sidewalk and talked to her about it in that moment. And I said, listen, I really want to do this mastermind program. I really, really want to. I feel it. I feel that desire so strongly inside of me. And the money, I don't know where it is. I can feel it. I know it's here. And I don't know what to do next, because it's just really, I didn't feel blocked, but I did feel like almost a membrane, like right here in between me and it. So we talked for a few minutes, and she was just really thinking. She was really thoughtful about what advice to give me. And finally she said, Robin, you love good deals. You love Nordstrom. Why don't you do a sale on your programs? And so I was like, I kind of got lit up by that. I was like, oh my God, like that seemed to make sense to me. So I went back home, poured a glass of wine, had my salad, sat down at my laptop, and I started writing. And I wrote a letter to the list that I had created of people who are interested in working with me over the past, say 6 months or so. So I probably had, at that time I probably had like 700 people on my list that I was writing to. And I wrote this letter, which is still one of my favorite things that I've ever done, because it gave a result that I really, really desired for myself. But I wrote a letter, and I basically just laid it out. This is what I love, and this is what I'm doing, and who's up for it, right? So I was working with people at the time who were very much aware of who I was and the work that I was doing, and were just looking for the right opportunity to say yes, right? So I send out this email, and I'm not even kidding you. It was like piercing the veil. And within an hour, I started selling. And within that 24-hour period, I had generated I'll never forget this, $27,500 in sales to my ideal clients. Okay? So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because that thing that you desire is right here. We know that this is true. Everything that you desire is right here, right now. It's just that you're not aware of how to get on the other side of it to receive it. And that's that sort of membrane that you keep bumping up against. And if you misinterpret the membrane as a block, if you misinterpret the membrane as something that is a, quote, message from beyond that you're not supposed to have what you desire, if you misinterpret that membrane as a no, or it's not possible, you're missing out on this gift that you could actually give yourself. And that gift is to slice through that membrane and get on the other side. The gift is to break through that and come into contact with those people that you're designed to serve, and to come into contact with that income that is meant to be yours. And the reason that we know that it is meant to be yours is because the desire comes from your heart. And God placed that desire in your heart. Okay? We know everything is here and it's here now. We know that you're the first cause and the creator of your experiences. And so when you're sitting there, like today is Monday, we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we've got 4 more days left in this month to do a lot of business. We do. And a lot can happen in 4 days, as I have learned over and over in my life. It's in the 11th hour that really amazing things happen if you stay the course. This is not the time to give up. It's not the time to throw your hands up and say, I don't know what to do. Now is the time to really ground into why you're doing it, to get really lit up about what you're doing. And then now is the time to really continue to be in gratitude, continue to be in that space of knowing and trusting and believing and having faith that this is actually the case. Which brings me to another story. My dad told me this. My dad's a real estate broker and an auctioneer, and so he was training me in wealth consciousness and how to make money from the time I was a little kid. And there's a practice that I've talked to you guys about that's in the 2nd chapter of Think and Grow Rich, the chapter on desire, where you name the amount of money that you desire to have in your possession by a certain date. And part of the process is to write over and over and over again, I'm so happy and grateful that I have received this money. I see myself with this money on or before that date that you've selected, right? And by the way, any manifestation, any miracle that happens in the Bible only needs 3 days, actually. So that's the amount of time. If you can stay focused on what you desire to create for a period of a minimum of 3 days, you can bring that into your experience. The more distractions you have, the more things that keep you from focusing on what you desire, lengthens the amount of time between you and receiving that desire. So please understand that. But back to my dad. So my dad went through this process, and he chose, I think he might have chose like $15,000 for a 30-day period that he wanted to generate in his business. And so he went through the process, he stayed with it and stayed with it and stayed with it, and it gets to, day 29, day 30, nothing comes in. Day 31 and day 32 were huge, and he generated not just $15,000, but I think he might have generated like $17,500. Like he said, the extra couple of days, the universe gave me an extra couple $1,000s to go along with it. All right, so in saying all of this to you, here's my encouragement, is that you guys have got to stay with us. This is not the time to put on the brakes. It's not the time to take yourself out of the game. It's time to stay in the game and get really, really clear about what it is that you desire to create for your business before the end of the month. And I want you to write that in the comments below, what you desire to create before the end of the month. It could be $5,000 this month. It could be $10,000 this month. It could be a $20,000 a month. Whatever it is that you desire to create. And listen, guys, you guys all work with me privately, so we know what your number is already. We've already determined that earlier in the month. But I want you to reconnect with that. And I don't want you to leave any room for what ifs and maybes and we'll sees or anything like that. There is no time and no space for that kind of ambiguity in your practice. Right now, what you need is certainty. Right now, what you need is laser-like faith that this is not only possible for you, but it is already complete. Okay? So, write what your goal is in the last 4 days of this month down below. And let's get rolling on this, because you guys have plenty of time to generate all that you desire in the next 3.5 days. You really do. You really do. I promise. But it starts with dropping back into your desire, and it starts really with dropping into what is it that I desire to create, and really putting your stake in the ground around that, and really staying focused on that and staying true to that. Once you stay true to, once you decide and say, it is done, it is done, it is done, it is done, then you let it go. And you can drop into the field of synchronicity. And in that field of synchronicity, that's going to tell you what your next step is. If you want a new client, you need to have a conversation with somebody. Who do you need to have the conversation with? Who is that person who you need to have the conversation with? But when you're all over the map and you're all distracted and you've got a bunch of things going on in your head, that person's name is not going to come to you. So you got to get really quiet and really still and really just like ground into, this is what I desire. Who's next? And stay focused there and know that she is here for you, and she is here for you now with her credit card outstretched, ready to work with you enthusiastically. She's here. She's already here. Okay? So I'm looking forward to seeing what your goals are for the next 3.5 days. Let's really stay focused on those and blow these goals out of the water. Okay? All right. I love you guys. I'll see you in your private sessions.